Hi friends, welcome to day number 5 for the best of 2021 series. Today we're talking brushes. It has finally arrived, maybe the toughest video out of this best of series that I have filmed yet. But if it's your first time here, hi, I'm Alicia. Thank you so much for clicking on my video. And if you're returning, well, thank you for visiting me again. Kinky Sweat stands for my kinky hair and sweat life. I'm a fitness professional who loves things, all movement and beauty. If you want to check out what I do in between the makeups, you can head over to my Instagram. You want to maybe join me in one of my flexibility classes? Well, then please sign up for my newsletter down below. I had a hard time with this one, fam. Pretty much most of the brushes, what am I saying? All of the brushes I used this year were beyond phenomenal. Ever since I started buying and receiving Fude. Fude is brush in Japanese. And before I began, I worked with Fude Beauty throughout the year where they would send me brushes and I will just speak about them and give demos and brush details. And I just wanted to say thank you for everyone who used my affiliate links, as I am an affiliate with Fude Beauty. It means the world because it does support my channel. You know, it helps me get this desk. Okay, and just expanding my own knowledge about Fude and the different Fude brands is now so much more comprehensive than I would have ever imagined from when I started using Japanese made brushes. So a huge thank you again to Fude Beauty. We didn't collaborate on this video, of course, this is all me, but a lot of these brushes were sent to me. Some of them I bought myself, okay. Also, Beautylish was very nice to send me a few of the brush collections that launched this year. And of course, pretty much every brush that I'm going to speak about has a video. With that said, I will have a playlist link down below and up above. So if you just want more details about these brushes, you want to see them in action, close-up shots and what have you, all those videos will be on the playlist. But you know, I had a hard time trying to configure this video. Was I going to do best set? Was I going to do best foundation brush? Best expensive? Best inexpensive? I think I have a hodgepodge of different brushes, but I just wanted to start with maybe the award, if you will. This is the first time I'm ever giving an award in the best of series, by the way. I don't know. Brush sets. There were a lot of brush sets that dropped this year. Just to name a few: Sonia G's Fusion series and Lotus set, Wayne Goss's Artist Edit set, the Rephr Holiday collection, the Beautylish Presents Yano series collections. I wanted to choose one out of all mentioned just now. It was tough too because I can make arguments for any of those sets, how versatile they are, how incredibly beautifully designed they are, and will leave your makeup application looking flawless. But of course, I had to give best set of 2021. So come on. The Sonia G Fusion series was for me, the most highly anticipated brush drop of the year. Unfortunately, these are not in stock. You can sign up for Beautylish for a restock alert. They're definitely worth the wait, and it's because of the fact that these brushes are made with a mixture of natural and synthetic fibers. I do think that yields the most ideal result when it comes to cream and liquid product application. The natural hair is going to pick up some of that product because of the cuticles that already exist on the hair fiber, but the synthetic bristles are not going to pick up as much. So you have the perfect balance of coverage with your foundation, and the densities are spot on, not too overly packed, but not too wispy either, of course. The sizes are so well thought out, and I had a hard time thereafter which was the best foundation brush of 2021. So we already established that my favorite best set from the year was the Fusion set. Okay, let me show you what I was thinking. It's between Sonia G's Jumbo Base, the Bisyodo B-F-01, I believe, the Houkodou Puff Brush, and the Rephr 31. These all serve a different purpose, okay? I can use any of these brushes and have a beautiful makeup application, just a smooth blurred blend. What I will say is that my most favorite out of all of them I can't believe I'm saying this. It has to be the Bisyodo. When I first saw this brush, I think it might have been a year ago. Another note, this didn't necessarily drop in 2021, but it was the first time that I used it. It's the perfect balance of flat and fluffy, as opposed to the Chikuhodo Takumi T11. It's more flat. And when you see it next to the Bisyodo has a lot more fluff. And I like the fact that I can paint down, but also swirl and twirl around my skin. That just makes my application options more comprehensive in terms of where I want to go. The Houkodou puff brush is just that perfect design to buff foundation into your skin, and it is very soft and nice with the short handle. You're close to your face, so you feel that control. The Rephr 31 is unique in that I find a lot of these synthetic natural blend brushes tend to feel very spiky, but they made it so it's actually quite soft on the surface here, and I find it more appropriate to do the strike down instead of the swirl and twirl. Well, actually, you could do the swirl and twirl because it's pretty soft on the surface area. I do think the Bisyodo is much softer than the Rephr brush and just a little more plush. So if you want this type of a brush, that paint down but swirl and twirl feel, and the fact that it's at a perfect density to not only take away just a little bit of product but leave some behind, which again yields the most beautiful coverage, especially if you decide to use a foundation stick like the Huda Beautiful filter or even the Westman Atelier Vital Skin foundation stick. It's just, oh my goodness. And the brush itself, I know functionality is something worth earning the best of title, but look at the beautiful, look at it, the gold ferrule, this rosewood handle. It's an exquisite brush. All the brushes in the long handle series from Bisyodo, I can't. I want all of them. Do I like it more than Sonia G's jumbo base? I do think the jumbo base is a more unique shape. If you can see, and it was hard for me to detect when I first received this brush, that it had this slant to it, which I think just amazing for pouncing on product. I love to push my Saie Sun Melt Cream Bronzer into the hollows of my cheeks with the jumbo base. I also like the feel of the Bisyodo, but man, it's so, this is what I'm telling you, it's hard to pick. So those are my all-time faves from the foundation category. I can't get enough of foundation brushes. I rarely use sponges, although I recognize their importance, their role in makeup application, looking smooth, okay. Really nice maybe to have a sponge on standby to perhaps take away makeup, to pounce in your setting spray so it could look a little more even when it absorbs. But to apply foundation, I love a brush. I feel I can push in the product. I have a little more control and it's more sanitary. Although I don't wash these every day, I use a microfiber towel to take away the excess product from the bristles, and then every month I wash them. It's a synthetic brush, then you can wash them anytime you use them because the synthetic fibers can take a little more of a beating with a more frequent wash schedule. But for natural hairs, be careful, which is why I like to have several on deck. I can rotate and not use the same one every day, so it can have a breather and, you know, its neighbors can go to work instead. That's kind of my logic. When it comes to concealer, of course, all the brushes, well, maybe three. The mini base, the jumbo concealer, and the soft concealer. If I had to pick out of all those three, I don't remember which one I dubbed as my most favorite. I felt like it might have been the jumbo concealer, but I really love the soft concealers. Just a little more wispiness. I like to windmill my concealer blend around under my eyes. It's just so satisfying. And of course, to take leftover product around the nostrils of my nose, those areas that need a little more precision with the concealer application. And of course, you can dab on just a tiny bit more of coverage on the inner corners of your under eyes if it's especially discolored, or you apply a color corrector there. Fantastic. It's the same synthetic natural blend as I had described when presenting the Fusion series set. It's a joy to use, what can I say? Between that and the Jumbo Concealer, and I also use the mini base to blend out my concealer. It's small enough to do so, but I rather use a smaller brush to get a little more precise under my lash line. And I found myself using less and less concealer over the course of several years. When I first started, I would slap on that concealer so heavy, which is why I would understand you would have to use a sponge in those circumstances to take away enough products so it doesn't look like, you know, concealer is melting under your eyes. Or maybe if you insist on applying a ton of concealer, then yes, you would have to use a much bigger brush to take away some of that product. But again, I've been very light with my concealer application, just enough. Those have been my favorite complexion brushes. I did want to briefly mention, however, although I did not award Wayne Goss's Artist Edit set the best set of 2021, I have to give it up. This is honorable mention because this one, out of all the sets he has released, is by far my most favorite. I know it doesn't have a shader brush. I understand it might not be complete to some makeup wearers. I think the handle's unique. It just brings that calligraphy vibe to the collection, which I think elevates the user experience. And also the fact that, because if you don't know Wayne loves a tapered brush. I think he only released maybe a shader brush in one collection out of like the 5 that he did. I adore the tapered shape because not only can you get deep into your eye crease, but you can use this brush for under the eyes. You could also use it to buff your makeup, buff your cheek products, even get really deep into the hollows of the cheeks. And the fact that he had the number 2 in the Artist Edit, I used this when I first received this set for foundation application. Now, I would use this for creams instead of liquids because it's not the densest, right? So it will pick up a lot more product than, let's say, the Rephr or the Houkodou. These are going to lay down a lot more product than the number 2 from the Artist Collection, which is why I would recommend that you use this with a cream product that's going to stay more on your skin versus get into the brush. So if you happen to use a cream foundation, or even let's say I went in with my, where is it? This will be great with my RCMA. I could just take it across and put it where I need it and be done. So that's why I wanted to give the Artist Edit collection a mention, because I think it was so versatile and I used the heck out of all these brushes, whether it was for complexion, whether it was for applying powder, cheek products, what have you. I even love it for eye makeup because I know, again, not great for the metallic shimmer pickups because they're all tapered, and I think more suitable for blending. If you're one to just wear matte eyeshadow anyway, or just one shadow to begin with, then you can use one side of the brush to lay down that color and then use the tip to blend it into your crease. Use the smaller brush to take it under your eyes and even place some matte light color here on the inner corner and be done. So that was a remarkable set that Wayne released. Definitely my favorite out of all the ones prior. Now we did foundation. Powder, man, were there a lot of powder brushes that I covered over the course of this year, but this was probably the easiest one to award the best of title to. I have to give it up to the Yano series number 2 Spork brush. People were like, it's a weird shape, I don't know what can I use it for. Listen, this brush's shape makes it beyond versatile. Now, while I understand, excuse me for looking down, I want to grab the brush specs for this one because I believe it is a gray squirrel blend, but I'm not entirely sure. Here we go. Now, this is expensive. It's $120. I know, how dare I. It is gray squirrel and psycho goat. I tend to gravitate or use more squirrel and goat hair blends because of the same reasons I expressed with the Fusion series, where you have a mix of natural and synthetic. You get best of both worlds. It's very much like what's presented here in the Yano series number 2 powder brush. You get the best of both the gray squirrel world and the Psycho goat world. Gray squirrel is incredibly soft, very silky on the skin, suitable for drier, more sensitive skin types. You will not feel it prickly. It just glides over the skin, undetectable. Like, am I even using a brush on my face right now? With Psycho Go, it's a little more of a workhorse bristle. It's going to give you a little more blend, a little more movement on the skin, and therefore you will feel it more than gray or blue squirrel. When you have both though, oh my gosh, this is perfect for all over powder setting. I especially love this for powder bronzer because of the angle here. The low edge of that slant is going to fit nicely into the hollows of the cheeks, and the rest of the longer bristles then hug the cheek. So it's just intuitive to use and place that bronzer on. And although a bigger powder brush, I love this for blush because again, you can use the top part of this slant of the angle and just place enough and have it on the apples of your cheeks. I'm telling you, my most favorite brush of the year. I know it might not be as versatile as others in terms of its size, like you will have to grab another brush for under eye setting. Okay, fine. For powder tasks and some cheek tasks, Yano series number 2. I will mention others because I do think there are a couple here that are worth presenting that I feel at a more reasonable price point, because the Yano series brush is expensive. However, I did cover Mizuho this year, and if I had to recommend a brand that you check out from Fude Beauty or anywhere that they sell Mizuho, is that they have a great range of inexpensive to expensive in the Mizuho brand, but even the more inexpensive brushes, they hold it down. Like the Mizuho CMP514, this also is a blend of gray squirrel and Sokoho goat. So Sokoho goat, I forgot where it ranks in comparison to Psycho. They're similar. I think Sokoho goat maybe, is it softer? I have to double check. Excuse my non-intelligence right now. This is $69, so I know a much smaller brush than the Yano series one, but you can still use the Mizuho for all over powder application, bronzer, blush, even some highlighter. And it has that same goat hair and squirrel blend, best of both worlds. A really great price point and an amazing brush. If you take care of it, I would wash this once a month, maybe month and a half, every month and a half, because of the gray squirrel, more delicate than the Sokoho goat. However, if you want to go a little bit luxe, just a little bit luxe, the Houkodou Sora G S2 cheek brush, this is all gray squirrel, and this is actually 62, which isn't bad. But if you have very sensitive dry skin and you could not use goat hair, this is all squirrel. And let me tell you, I like that it's flat on both sides. It has like a little bit of a taper, which is perfect for blush. It just hugs the apples of the cheeks beautifully well, and then you can get it into the hollows. You can even place highlighter here. Just place a highlighter on the tapered edge of the brush, and it'll place it right on the cheekbone, which is why I would use it, as you saw with the Makeup by Mario. That powder is softer and has very easy pickup, which is why I thought a great pair, or pairing rather, with the gray squirrel blend. If you have normal to oily skin, I would use either a gray squirrel or a goat hair blend, because gray squirrel is very delicate and you don't want it to pick up the excess oil from your skin. It will break down the fiber, which will lead for you to wash it more often, which again will not be great for the brush. So I would recommend all goat hair. This is the Rephr number 30. This released with their holiday collection this year. It's definitely more of a dedicated powder brush. I would find it very difficult for you, well, maybe not really. With bronzer, you can get the bronzer on the edge of the brush, get into the hollows, but with blush, a little more tricky. This is your all over dedicated powder brush, and because it is Psycho goat, I think more suitable for normal to oily skin types, one that needs a little more of a workhorse bristle. The last gray squirrel and Sokoho goat blend I wanted to present is the Houkodou Nagi cheek brush. This is a round cheek brush, so as opposed to what I've shown, these two cheek brushes are flat on both sides, so you have more of like a paddle feel. The Nagi, I love a round cheek brush. You know why? You know why? Right here into the hollows, gets the bronzer done and on in no time. And of course the circular blend was just going to ensure those softened edges on the skin that look smooth and they just fuse with your skin. Wonderful for blush in that you can just swirl and twirl the product onto the apples of your cheeks and just be done. So as you saw, I showed a lot of gray squirrel and goat hair blends. That is my favorite. I do like to use exclusively goat or exclusively squirrel, but when it comes to combining them into one brush, I feel that just yields the best result for my skin type, which is right now normal dry. So I can't withstand the Psycho and Sokoho Go bristles in these brushes. If I want just a lighter whisper of color of blush on the cheeks, then I will then grab one of my, for instance, Chikuhodo Z series brushes, but these are my favorite. Absolutely. Now for under the eyes, I did mention the Yano series released amazing brush sets this year. I love them all, but you probably saw in several of my demos that I use the Yano series eye brush number 6 for my under eye powder application. I love a teardrop brush for under eye because look, it just fits right here very softly along the lash line, and I think prime for those who don't like to wear a lot of powder under the eyes. They don't like to use the sponges to place powder. They don't want to use a bigger tapered brush under the eyes, right? It's too much, too big. If you can use a shadow brush of this design, of this size, it's perfect, and it gets around the nostrils too. You can whip it across your chin, between the eyebrows, so it's still big enough to get powder on those areas that need a little bit, but you can whisk it back and forth. It's just, again, very lightweight in feel, deposits the right amount of powder. And I used the number 7 actually from the same eye set, and I applied the Star Glow powder from the new Natasha Denona Mini Rose Cheek Duo. If you don't want all the highlighter, if you just want it right on the highest pinpoint area of your cheekbone, if you wanted to go back into the Wayne Goss set, you could use any of his taper brushes to get that highlight right where you need it. It's not going to drop further than that, just right there. Also, I did learn to appreciate the very tapered shape of a brush that gets right into the crease, and then the shorter bristles here just blend out the edges of the shadow so beautifully well. So I like to use this as a finisher, if you will, after all eyeshadow has been applied. You just get one of those teardrop brushes and just bleh. Beautiful blurring. Can't go wrong with it. Now for the actual shadow. I love me a crease brush, and I do have medium, medium to large eyes, would you categorize me as? So I can get away with a bigger, fluffier crease brush. And by far my most favorite crease brush this year, without a doubt, has to be the Rephr 27. Now I work with Rephr as well. They are very kind to send me their new sets in advance to try them out, to get a feel for them. I'm also an affiliate with Rephr. This brush I reached for more often than their own number 16. Now together you see the 16 is a lot more tapered one here, but the 27 has more of a domed shape on the top of the brush, and it's not as packed as the number 16, which for me, I think allows for a more wispy blend of shadow through the crease. And because it is not as tightly packed, it will ensure that the shadow won't skip, that it will apply smooth on the skin, which I think significant if your skin tends to move when blending shadow. So because again, it's not as tightly packed and the tip of the brush comes more into a dome, and the bristle length remains very long on the edges, as opposed to the number 16, it starts very short here and goes to that tighter taper shape. I feel I get a smoother blend from the 27. And again, I wanted to start this portion in addressing my eye shape first, because I do realize I can get away with that type of a brush since I have the room to do so. But if you have a similar eye shape to mine, I adore the 27. I go through different crease brushes throughout the year. I use a ton, you know, with being gifted these brushes and just getting a feel for them. I constantly rotate, but I do find myself always returning searching for the number 27. I preferred over their number 16. I actually preferred over many of my tapered crease brushes that I learned to love over the years. For instance, the Wayne Goss number 3. Okay, the number 4. The number 4 I feel is, well, the squirrel hair number 4 I feel has a smoother blend through the crease, but the 27 I feel just gets the color nice and diffused. If you want it to fade out a little bit more, then I think this size is better to use, as opposed to you wanting to keep the color tighter into your crease. Well, then I would understand you will grab a more tapered brush for that task. The number 27 though, by far my most favorite crease brush of the year. Now, in terms of the outer lid, I tend to grab a smaller brush for outer lid blending. That's where I would apply a darker shadow to create the smoke and intensity there. I found, and I was actually shocked, that I love to apply my darker shadows with the Kyureido Kiwami small eyeshadow brush. This is all gray squirrel. Now, before you wonder, yes, gray squirrel does not pick up as much color as a goat hair brush, right? Especially if you want more product pickup, if you want more of an aggressive blend. Because the brush is so small to begin with, it's more dense, it's still gray squirrel, so the way it just slides on my lid and pulls the color through my crease in the most seamless way, I found myself reaching for this brush more than like my Rephr 13 or 14, which I used extensively to deepen color on the outer lid. The softness of the gray squirrel, but the density of the brush met in the middle for me in delivering the perfect dose of shadow on the outer lid, but then allowing the smoothest blend possible. I used this with, as you saw, the Natasha Denona new Mini Biba eyeshadow palette, and man, I love this brush for outer. So good. And I feel with smaller eyes you can get away with the same task using the Kyureido, and I also used it for under eye lash line shadow application. It's not small enough to keep it so tight under the lash line that it looks precise. It's just big enough to give me the right amount of haze, just the right amount of lash line smokiness that I tend to like with my eyeshadow. So yes, use a smaller brush. You want to keep that color tighter under the lash line, but oh my gosh. Now for the shimmer metallic pickup, the Houkodou GS5 from the Sora series. This is Kolinsky. Kolinsky is a workhorse premium bristle. You could use this with powder, liquid, or cream shadows, which I think it beautifully versatile. It's a little stiffer than, like, let's say a Rephr 28 or even a Syrah flat shader brush, but I do like the product pickup with a stiffer shader brush because it just keeps the color right on the center of my lid, and it also is great for the inner lower lash line. It's not going to be great for blending. I think this is more appropriate for placement, for getting that metallic or shimmer right on the center of the lid, and then using the extra stiff edge to now paint that color under your crease so you can have a little more precision in your application. Although this brush did not release in 2021, it did, I believe, 2 years ago. It still remains my most favorite liner brush. They did come out with a smaller version, I believe, in their holiday collection last year. I love that one too. I have no idea where it is. Can I find it? Hold on. I can't believe that I found it. The 23 they released in a holiday collection, but who is they, Alicia? Without a doubt, the Rephr number 3 eyeshadow brush still remains to this day my favorite pencil brush. Because it is Seikoho goat hair, you can't use this with cream products, so you can't blend and smoke out your eyeliner, but I use this one today to apply the deeper shade from the Mini Biba, and it has such great product pickup, but because it is so tapered and soft on the lash line, it just moves and grooves the shadow without moving your skin, which ensures a just clean, smoky liner finish. And the smaller brush, the 23, listen, if you want to get a little more precise with your liner, I like to use dome tapered shapes as opposed to, for instance, where is it? This is from the Shiseido for eyeshadow set. This is like a shader which is flat on both sides, so I can use this to get the liner out. But the Rephr one is so soft, and I keep going back to that brush. This is the one that I use in the demo, that's why I dirty it. But great product pickup to build the intensity on your lash line if you tend to rely on an eyeshadow for your wing look. But this is also phenomenal to blend out my favorite liner, which is the Pat McGrath Permagel eyeliner in Black Coffee. When I need a little more intensity along the lash line, I just whip that liner with my number 3 and it's done. It's done. Not to say other liner brushes I have used throughout the year are trash. Absolutely not. I mean, again, because it's Fude all the way, it's going to be a beautiful blend. I prefer, and yes, I work with Rephr, I'm an affiliate, again, silky and smooth, perfect product pickup, perfect blend. It's all there for you. Now you're like, Alicia, where are the synthetic brushes? I do have to give a shout out to the Spectrum and Katie Jane Hughes collaboration. I do have those brushes, and my favorite out of the whole lot is definitely the number 3. This is a stippled brush, but look how it has like the 2 lengths here. You have the shorter length and much longer through the center. I use this brush to apply my Saie Sunmelt bronzer because of like that wispiness to it and the fact that it's synthetic, so it's going to lay down a little more product than a natural hairbrush would. It's really nice to use, I think, for a beginner because it's very wispy in feel and you'll get the right amount of product application without it looking heavy on the skin. So I have to give it up to that brush because I also love it for cream blush application. Really great to whip that product onto the apples of your cheeks. And the Unit Orange series that I tried for the first time this year, I don't know, or I didn't confirm with Beautylish to find out if these were made in Japan, but the fibers are Japanese technology. They're synthetic, but just look how thin they are. The filaments come to a much finer point than traditionally made synthetic brushes on the market, and because of that, they definitely lend a more real-life natural hair brush feel. Come in a variety of sizes. I presented this brush set in my Beautylish gift card video, and I even liked the eye brushes. As you know, I much prefer natural hair brushes for my eyeshadow application, but I have to give it up to the Orange series because these bristles are so thin and feather light in feel. They definitely have a more whisper light blend than other synthetic brushes that I have used, which I feel because of the blunt cut, they don't feel as smooth on the skin. But I did use this with the Charlotte Tilbury Smoky Eyes release for Christmas this year, and I was shocked. So that's it, fam. My brush favorites for the year. I could make an argument to have more favorites in this video, you know that. So if you're wondering about another brush and you're like, why did she mention that? It's probably a favorite. Absolutely. But I wanted to present those standout brushes that I feel truly made a difference in my makeup application. Like the minute I picked up that brush and started using it, I was like, oh wow, my whole world just expanded. I was seeing stars, I was flying through the galaxy. I mean, it was that type of a moment. Let me know what your favorite brushes have been from this year. Let me know if you bought something from Fude Beauty, what you chose to pick up, what have you been liking about it, your critiques about brushes that you've used. So my plan was to keep it at 5 best of videos. So I think this might be it. Someone had asked that I do nail polish. I don't know if I'll have time to do nail polish because I have no idea what came out in 2021. Again, I did not take note, but if you want a live, let me know. I can try and make that happen. Not over the weekend because it's Christmas, so Merry Christmas if you celebrate Christmas. I'll probably get on here before the new year arrives, and perhaps that will be a great opportunity to talk about my nail polish favorites. So let me know, fam, if that's something you'll attend. And yeah, this has been a lot of fun evaluating my favorites throughout the year. It definitely forced me to just hone in on those favorites of mine that really have changed my makeup life. I'll see you down in the comments, fam. And until then, that is a wrap. Thank you all so much for watching, I hope this video helped. And if you like this video, please give it a thumbs up and maybe consider subscribing to my channel. And again, fam, I wish you a stress-free and peaceful holiday. Enjoy yourself. I hope you're able to see your loved ones. And until then, take care, and I will see you again soon.